Hello and welcome to the 4Corners podcast. I'm Brad, joined by Matt and Shad. Gentlemen, we got it to work this week, so how are you doing this evening?
We're back. We're back.
We're back live.
Yeah.
We're gonna get to talk about the same thing everybody else has been talking about. We're definitely gonna do it in a different way, though.
Yeah. Technical difficulties last week. We couldn't do it live. It is up on our YouTube channel. Probably up on podcasts if those are up to date.
I gotta do
podcasts.
I gotta do that.
Oh, you gotta do that. It's up on our YouTube, so you can see it. We were talking about the first book of Wheel of Time, the famous fantasy show, series by Robert Jordan.
We didn't talk as near as much about the show. Let's not
barely talked about the show, which I've never seen, as I explained in the show.
We talked about how crappy it is.
I don't intend to see it. And I'm someone who's a novice of Wheel of Time. I've only read the first two books. We were going to talk this week about book 2, but then something happened.
we were going to talk about book 2, and then we got a message that in effect said that doesn't work for me, brother.
Yeah, it doesn't work for me. We want to talk about something else.
Was it Friday, or was it Thursday?
Thursday.
I think it was Thursday.
Because Ozzy, then Hogan was the next day.
Yeah.
It's Malcolm Jamal Warner, Ozzy, Hogan.
Yeah, he did.
So, of course, Hogan had to be the last one through the curtain.
Malcolm was an accidental drowning.
Riptide.
Those are brutal. Because that's what got... That's what got...
Shad Gaspard.
Yep. That's what got him.
I don't screw with Riptide, man.
No.
I'm not really a good swimmer. I have a weird thing where I know it's all psychological, because I used to be able to swim and now I can't swim, and it's like, how do you forget? You don't forget how to swim. It's like I think it's this mental block. It's like I don't walk through life having phobias, and I'm one of these people. It's like, I'm scared of spiders. I'm scared of snakes. It's like, no, like I was even technically dying of a brain tumor like a couple years ago, and I had surgery and got better, but it was like, are you going to survive the surgery? I'm like, I wasn't like, oh my God, wringing my hands, but I have a weird phobia about like drowning. Like that's the one thing I'm like afraid of. So I think it's all like a psychological block. So I don't go in the ocean, guys. I stare at it from a safe distance away.
You can go stand in it, and you can go sit in the surf right there where it hits the beach.
I'm not afraid of spiders, but a spider and I had a vehement disagreement once that led to an ER trip, because I was in the basement at the old house and I was doing something and it bit me on the ear, and it got cellulitis, because if they bite you on the ear, fun fact, there's not a lot of tissue to absorb the damage. So that was some steroids and stuff. That was not fun.
Yeah, I got, when I was really little, like 4, I apparently stumbled across a nest of baby copperheads, and like my dad just picked me up and pulled me out before anything happened. And it's like, ever since then, it's like, I'm not scared of you, but I hate you. You know.
I think it's friend of the show, the Dames, is afraid of spiders, because I think we used to post like big ass spider pictures.
Oh yeah, me and Chris have a group text with him. Sometimes we would, randomly send him spider pics, because we do it where it's like, hey James, and then he just like, hey, what's up? And it's like, boom, spider pic, and he's like, he would get really upset. He's like,
there's a
F you guys.
There's a funny meme where it's like a spider. It's like, no, look, we can work this out. And then it's someone holding a gun on them.
Yeah.
So
my favorite dad joke that I've ever gotten to do. No, my second favorite dad joke. My second favorite dad joke is, my kids said, hey, Daddy, there's a spider in my room. I said, don't worry about it. He's just doing his job. Well, what's his job? And I went, web design.
Oh, God.
And nobody else in the house laughed, but I did.
You're not supposed to laugh at them. You fail if you get a laugh for those.
I did get a laugh out of my favorite one, because there was a group of us during COVID. We're getting ready to play D&D, and someone said something about killer whales, orcas, or more than anything, they're giant dolphins. I'm like, huh, really? Is that the fact? Well, let me look that up. And it's like, yeah, they totally are. And someone's like, "Oh, I never knew that." I said, "Don't worry, it's not the kind of mistake you make on purpose." And I was proud of that one, and I got a couple of laughs, and then I got a couple of people who were like, "Oh, boo!" And I had one person go, "No, no, he nailed that one. You give him respect."
So yeah, so Hulk Hogan passed away. So the what we've seen, I think it came out from the Observer, but I don't know. He had complications from a neck surgery, I think is what happened.
Yeah,
I think I was the Observer. A friend actually sent it to me, which he's not. He knows wrestling a little bit, but I don't know that he watches regularly, and he's certainly not as big of a wrestling nerd as we are. So he's not like an Observer subscriber, but he was just like sending me something that some aggregator had done, and it was from I think it was from Dave Meltzer, and so yeah, Hogan. I guess it's been really quiet. Like Hogan had cervical surgery. I didn't even know he needed it. I mean, it's not uncommon for a lot of these guys to get surgery of some sort. I mean, they get pretty beat up. I know he had like hip replacement surgery, right, or knee replacement, like something.
He's had a lot of leg stuff the last decade.
Yeah,
because I know you see stuff with him out and about. I would say since 2012, there's like a 50-50 shot he's on crutches, or a crutch.
Yeah. I think it was even said like I know that he always was like probably built higher, like taller than he was, but I think he was legit like a big guy, 6'4", 6'5", something like that, and he. Wasn't it allegedly he had lost like a couple inches? Like
that can happen. My dad got shorter when he needed his hip replacement, and then he was suddenly like way taller once he had it done.
Yeah.
But he had, I think in June, I think it was the recent, he had cervical surgery.
I think it was May.
And it was May. Okay. There was some sort of complication from that, and he had to be intubated. So that's like you're not breathing on your own.
Yeah.
Intubated, he was experiencing renal failure, fluid overload, which the fluid overload would be, if you're entering renal failure, that's pretty common. And suffering from severe COPD. They had said COPD, and I don't.
Chronic obstructive pulmonary. Yeah.
But that's I wonder if like severe COPD, like did he have COPD, or was that like he had severe COVID?
No,
COPD. Typo, or is that
COPD?
Because COPD and that's a chronic condition.
Yeah.
Like my uncle passed away, but in the last years of his life, he had COPD. He was like occasionally even using oxygen like during the day, but it's because he smoked for like decades. That's like that's a lung disease that you develop.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know if emphysema is the same thing, but it's basically the same thing.
Emphysema, like pieces of your lungs quit working.
Yeah, they're very similar though. That it's diminished lung functioning. But that's a chronic condition. So I don't know that he smoked or anything like that. That would
the steroid use could have possibly. Well,
yeah,
I mean,
that's also true.
He was 71. He might have in his younger days.
I mean, that would contribute to any musculoskeletal stuff, because long-term steroid use, and even something like sometimes people who have to take steroids because they have some sort of chronic autoimmune condition, like fibromyalgia is kind of a tricky one, but if you have other ones like MS, even multiple sclerosis, or some other rheumatoid arthritis, something that you may be taking steroids at least on a semi frequent basis. Steroids, long-term steroid use will eat away at your bones, like legit. You'll start developing essentially osteoporosis, osteopenia, and your bones become more fragile. So certainly a guy like him who would automatically have musculoskeletal stuff, because
he could have
years of abuse in the ring.
He could have gotten something
and he's
like
a big guy.
asthma later in life too.
Maybe, or he could have always had it. I guess my dad was a very active man. Like, definitely did sports and everything when he was younger. Like, he had asthma all his life. Like, sometimes when I was growing up, he would go out a hot summer day, cut the grass. We only have like we have like acres of land in this house. Like, he would cut the grass, but it'd be hot, and all the the pollen from cutting the grass. He'd have to come inside, like rest like 10 minutes, take some puffs on an inhaler.
Yeah.
Before he would go outside and finish, because I mean, maybe, I don't know. I don't know his full medical history there. But
So he passed.
he was. Point is, he was ill. He was very ill
for a long time, and it sounds like it was not It sounds like it was not a pleasant end to his life. Would he have been conscious through much of this, or would he have just been like a vegetable? That's kind of
if he was intubated, and because Meltzer was saying when he was reporting all this that essentially they released him to go home, which is almost sounds like a hospice type of situation, because they released him. He was at Tampa General Hospital, but they released him to go back home because essentially there was nothing left they could do, which means they didn't expect any sort of positive long-term prognosis. Like, he wasn't gonna, and that makes me think he was intubated. They probably thought, like, he's not going to come off that ventilator ever.
Yeah.
And with ventilators, they talked about this a lot with COVID. If you're on a ventilator, more likely than not, like, the people, you freak out because it's like it's a tube down your throat. So most of the time you're in a coma. If you're not already got something going on, like you're brain dead, but you're at least like medically put in a coma, so you don't wake up and start pulling shit out.
They found out pretty quick on the COVID thing. Well, certain places didn't shift away from not doing that because they found out pretty quick, like, don't do that because their lungs or tissue gets brittle on COVID, so don't like intubate them because you're gonna kill them. But
I think
and then that
I think when that was going on, it was like 50-50. Like 50-50 if you got put on a ventilator, 50-50 that you'd actually ever come off it.
Yeah.
Oh, in COVID, my understanding, at least early on, it was if you're on a ventilator at that point, you ain't coming back. But
maybe
it did. Whatever.
And didn't that asshole Bubba the Love Sponge like leak this or some shit?
Yeah,
he leaked it.
That's one of the worst things, is that Bubba the Love Sponge was right. About this.
I don't blame Jimmy Hart though, because I would lie too.
That makes me think of something, because I think one of the things he claimed, whether it was true or not, was that Hogan was basically like brain dead.
I don't think Bubba the Love Sponge is intelligent
enough. Which I guess we won't know the full story, but I guess that, I mean, that could have been the case. Like, the fact that he was intubated and had all this stuff, it's like he could have had the cervical surgery, and then there was an incident. He had a blood clot, he had a stroke, something, and he just went brain dead, or there was a concern for that. So maybe he clearly had inside info.
Well, I mean, no, Bubba was, I think why I think he's a scum. I think Bubba was one of his caretakers, from what I seem to remember from the.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That would be his friend, and I don't know, like,
I didn't know if they were still friends.
I don't know, like, the status of, like, his family or their ability to, like, take care of him or whatever either, because that's tough. Like, with
he'd pretty well burned the bridges with Brooke, and never met his grandkids. I don't know if she had more than one kid. I know that Brooke did an interview where her husband, she reached out to him, and then her husband reached out to him, I don't know, maybe a year ago or something, and Hogan he wouldn't talk to him.
That's
like the only way that he would do anything, but let's be honest, whenever somebody's only doing something completely on their terms, that's probably unreasonable. It's just like, damn, dude,
Well, it's dumb. I don't like when people do that stuff, because it's like, well, now you're dead and you robbed your kids of probably like the last couple of like decent interactions they could have had with you.
yeah, there's no closure. There's no, hey, you got to meet your grandkids. You can tell your grandkids, no, you got to meet your grandfather. He just passed away before you're old enough to like you don't get any of that. And it, I get this impression that at least as far as Hulk was concerned, or Terry, or whatever, Nick was the golden child, and Brooke was in, we'll say, less favored status. But
I don't know.
who knows?
I won't comment too much because it's hard to know the ins and outs of family dynamics and stuff like that. So, but I would say, I don't know. I don't know how to say this with him, because I was saying, like, I think he's a complicated individual, because it was like Ric Flair. I mean, I wouldn't call Ric Flair a complicated individual in like comparison.
Yeah, this isn't a standard tribute, because there's some people, like, we actually wanted to acknowledge, like, the elephant in the room regarding how he's kind of fallen from grace.
Yeah.
And we don't make excuses for that. I think one thing I saw in the last few days, amongst a lot of people celebrating him dying, which I get it with some respects, I do, is that some people they had the attitude where angrily, where it's like, don't you dare say anything good about him. Don't you dare acknowledge his contributions to pro wrestling. And on the one hand, I understand it. I get their feelings.
I mean, like,
because
my problem.
You don't get to dictate that.
But my problem with that is,
if you have someone.
But my problem with that
is,
my problem is, though, okay, the whole racism thing aside, he didn't kill anyone. He seems to have not, as far as wrestling goes, he seems to have not been a complete degenerate asshole. And it's just I don't know, there's people that have died, that have done far worse, that got much, and recently that got much more of a kid gloves treatment than him. And it bothers me, the double standard stuff, because he did the big no thing, and it just bothers me that he could have probably if he hadn't have overtly been videotaped doing something racist, but there's stories of him back in the day just abusing the shit out of a couple of ring rats. Well, we'll just brush that under the rug, because that's my thing with him, is yeah, okay, he did say some racist stuff, and I'm not minimizing it, but for me it's okay, well, he was a wrestler that started in the 70s, of course he is.
I can't give that a pass. I can look at everything Hogan did, and I can respect his accomplishments.
I
can't look at Hogan and respect him.
No.
And there's a bunch of things into that. Go ahead, Matt.
Briefly talking about this with the aforementioned Dames, he brought up a great point, where, because this was Hogan died ironically on the 10th, I think it was the 10th to the day, 10-year anniversary of that video getting released.
Yeah, it was.
Which I think it wasn't the sex video that he ultimately sued Gawker and put them out of business for, but
yeah,
that got released. And the sex tape was obviously really salacious, but that's the tape that he was caught saying very horribly racist remarks about people. Wasn't
that the trial where that idiot that owned Gawker said that he would put the sex tape of a 2-year-old up, or some gross shit like that?
It was a child. Yeah.
Yeah, it was in that.
I think he tried to make some argument where it's well, if it's newsworthy, and it's no, come on. But point is, 10 years, Damien said, 10 years ago, it got exposed who Hogan really was as a person, at least with regards to how his views on race are. Because he always I think Brad has a good point. It's he always knew Hogan was the example. Look up politician.
Yeah.
Wrestling politician in the wrestling dictionary, and there's a picture of Hogan. No one politicked better than him. No one could get away with things he did too, because he was the biggest star for better part of 2 decades. And I need full a full 2 decades.
And I mean, we've learned though from watching like how booking and stuff works over the years. Like he wasn't always unjustified in being a politician, because you do kind of, I mean, he went over bounds, but like where I think people are too black and white about that, because they're just like, oh well, he politicked, so that automatically makes him bad. It's like, no, like if you're the top guy, you do have to be selfish, because if you're not selfish, like they will make you do stuff that hurts you. So you have to be selfish to a degree. But it's like
I'm not going to say that it was that he was politicking, because to be honest, everybody does to an extent. Everybody, if you're in the wrestling business, you've got to advocate for yourself, and if people don't like what it is, they call it politicking.
Yeah, I actually heard, I was listening to an old Flagship where they were talking in 2023 about Punk allegedly, throwing people when he had control of Collision, basically, how he was allegedly throwing people off the show or banning them from the show, and him saying Christopher Daniels can't be on this show, or backstage. It's like ridiculous, but it's also, big stars can do that. That's relatively minor. Hogan could get away with a lot more back in the day because he was bigger.
So, but my follow-up is that you can politic and advocate for yourself and that sort of stuff, and not actively cut the nuts off of other people.
Yeah.
You've got any business, like even if you're going to stay on top forever, which nobody can, it's a bad business model. But even if you're going to need new challengers sooner or later. But doing things to actively hinder or kill somebody who is in the same company as you, like to me, that's where politicking goes from self-advocacy to, across the line. Because it is effectively saying, you can't earn a living because I don't want you to, and you're not my boss.
I can give you a Hogan example. I think it was maybe 94, 95. It's like WCW, when he first came in, he had the title. They wanted him to like lose to Ric Flair.
Mm-hmm.
And they even had set it up. He said, yeah, man, let's do it. Because it was going to be setting up, more matches between them, him winning it back, etc. But then it came time to do it. And this is, I think, from like Flair's book. He was like, he basically went to Eric, well, maybe it was the Eric Bischoff's book. It was somebody's, behind the scenes. They're like, can't do it, brother. I don't think it's time for me to lose the belt. I can't do it. And then that threw off plans, and it was just a big mess.
The thing is, though, I'm not defending Hogan on that, but Flair did that a lot, and he gets a pass for it.
Well,
and he killed the company with ill turn. Like in '99, he wanted to turn heel and killed the company dead. So and what's funny about that though is I was thinking while you were saying that, like almost every top guy ends up doing that to some degree, except maybe Cena.
Well, I mean, there are some rumors that Cena occasionally like he basically punked out the entire like Nexus.
Yeah. See, now with that though, I think that's different. I think he was just wrong in how he thought a match should go. I don't think and he's even admitted he even admitted like as soon as it happened that he was wrong. So I think that's different.
He doesn't seem like someone he has like a lot of malice.
I think he got gung ho and thought it was going to be cool as shit and make the match really cool, and then he didn't realize like he was killing them.
He wanted to look strong, and he wanted to do a thing to make him look strong that he needed not to do.
Yeah,
was told not to do it, and then here's one of the big differences. All right, for people like Hogan and Flair, I'm going to say Hogan and Flair both. Is that neither one of them have taken any initiative to be contrite or anything about that stuff. No. Look, we know full what like Hogan's stuff came out there, and they gave him the opportunity to talk to the WWE locker room, a group of people that grew up with him as like one of the biggest figures in their fandom of the world they now work in. These are people who probably
who wanted to forgive him.
Wanted to, and his statement wasn't, look, I was wrong about that. You know, these are, or even if he just said it, right? Like, even if he didn't believe it, but he said, I was wrong about that. It's not something, it's a belief that I, you know, I'm going to examine and work on, or anything
even,
like that.
Even
His
said,
response was, yeah, you got to watch out for those cameras because people record shit all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you know what?
Yeah,
I think even if he had said something like, look, you know, this is a really dark time in my life, like this was around my divorce, like I was just really in a bad place, like I think even that would have been better than like, because I think that's where he really screwed up with it, is I think more than almost anyone, like everyone was waiting to like forgive him versus a lot of other people, and
they wanted to go to bat for him.
And he just did not have the humility or the self-awareness to...
He didn't have the wherewithal to do that.
Yeah.
Or I think Hulk Hogan could not admit he was wrong about anything.
I don't... Maybe.
I think it's worse than that. I don't think he understands why people would be upset by that.
Because I don't think he thought that it was anything wrong, because I think he was racist. I mean, let me finish my thought from like a minute ago. Was that in talking with Damien about Hogan, he's basically like, yeah, I'm more like, because, you know, Damien is a big wrestling fan, and like all of us like grew up watching Hogan, and maybe Hogan was his favorite. You know, he loved like Bret Hart, but he still, like, Hogan was a huge figure even back then. And he basically like, yeah, like 10 years ago, I mourned like Hogan. Yeah. And since then, it's like, well, Hogan, personally, he's just a piece of shit. He mourned like the loss of, you know, a hero, childhood hero, and then moved on. But to talk about I'm glad that we brought up the Hogan apology, non-apology, because I don't know if this was like when we started numbering. This was one of the first shows we ever did.
It was
in
like
2018.
It was
guys,
like
we've been doing this almost a decade.
It might have been within the first 5 or 6 episodes.
One of the first episodes that we ever did of this show.
Yeah, because
I think it was 2018.
Because I was gonna say when
we started. Now you're saying that, and I gotta look.
Because I was gonna say
talk about it.
It might have been a side topic, but I was gonna say when we started, this is like one of those shows you don't anticipate ever doing when you start like a wrestling podcast. But I'll say I think for me though it's different because I got into wrestling when I was a teenager, so I don't have
July 26, 2018, entitled "Red and Yellow Elephants." By the way, I'm not advocating for folks to go back and find those old episodes because especially at the beginning, we were awful.
Yeah.
We've always been good. What are you talking?
Yeah, we were terrible. Our sound quality's bad.
I mean, you guys are great. I'm a complete and utter mess.
I think for me though, I got in in '97 is when I really started watching full time. So I was 16, and it was NWO Hogan. So I don't have like a terribly huge like childhood attachment to him or anything. So for me, I was just like, wow, that sucks, and he really fucked that up. But like for me, it wasn't like it wasn't like mourning the death of like a childhood hero for me. It was just like, oh well, that's disappointing. Like, what's for breakfast? But I will say for me personally, within that indifference though, what he's done has never like impacted Hogan the artist for me. Whereas someone like Ric Flair has a stink on his work now for me because Ric Flair has like, well, I had a more emotional attachment to Flair like as a worker and stuff, just because of my taste. But he's like Flair constantly finds new ways to go lower. So like whenever I watch a Flair stuff, I'm like, oh, this is enjoyable, but like, God, why do you have to be Ric Flair?
Ric Flair, yeah, that's Ric Flair's last match was so godforsaken painful. I could barely watch clips of it.
He wants to do another one.
He can't.
He
sent a picture not that long ago where it looked like he has like a colostomy bag, like or something of that nature. It was like it looked like a port in his stomach, like that. I think is typically with there's colostomies. There's also other types of like gastric surgery that you need like a bag essentially. But I mean, I don't think he is physically. Not that he was when he did
He
his
shouldn't
last
have
match.
done it
But
the
now,
last one.
for sure, I don't think he's in any shape.
Yeah. So
I actually felt bad when I saw that picture because I had seen, for some reason, like Flair was trending like a month ago or so.
No, because remember he had
And
that
it was
he had that. That's longer than a month ago. He had that drunken incident at like a pizza place in New York or something.
oh
maybe,
yeah.
but there's he I guess we're in Florida. I think he lives in Florida.
They all live in
Maybe
Florida.
Yeah.
But
I know what you were talking about. Yeah.
he's at some place like a bar or whatever like that. He's there like every day, and it's from, if this is true, like the reports are like he goes there and gets drunk every day. And again, if that's true, it actually makes me sad because a guy who obviously has struggled with alcoholism and substance abuse, and I mean, I've seen the video, like some of the documentaries, and it just seems like really the end for Flair was when Reed died, because it's just been a long, protracted downward spiral since then. So if he's at the point now, because he almost died a few years ago, which I believe is alcohol related, but if he's just drinking every day or drinking as much as people think he is, but there's, for whatever reason, he was trending, I think maybe with the drunken pizza thing.
Yeah.
But some people who aren't like even wrestling fans or part of the wrestling Twitter or whatever, they're just on Twitter saying like, oh yeah, dude, like Ric Flair comes in like every day, you see him. And one person was like, oh yeah, like Ric Flair, like I think he like, shit himself, he smelled like poop. And it's like, when I saw the picture of what looked to be a colostomy bag, I'm like, maybe he didn't really do that, maybe he's just, yeah, he's got a bag or something, I don't know. Point is, I don't know why or how to necessarily articulate it. I'll try, but I agree with you, Brad. Like, first off, like Hogan, like I came into wrestling in '92, which was past his WWF peak.
Yeah.
And I was a little bit before he came to WCW. I watched all of his WCW stuff, so. But I had seen, as soon as I became a wrestling fan, I just watched every like wrestling tape possible at any video store that I could, within a near geographic area of me. So I saw most of all the WrestleManias, SummerSlams, Survivor Series, everything like that. And remember, that's back before they did monthly pay-per-views. So it wasn't like I had a universe of like 100 tapes I need to look through. There was maybe like, a couple dozen or so that I had to look through.
I think Blockbuster. There was a Blockbuster further away that had like a couple panels. They had, probably in the Attitude Era, they had a good 40 or 50 tapes on there.
So I became a big Hogan fan. And to an extent, like I'm still like of the like his work or the character of Hogan, I still kind of am. Like I will still buy, I'll still buy occasionally. They've been putting out like one every other month. I'll buy like the WWE wrestling figures of Hogan. The way I could think about it is like, I think you have a point though. You can kind of separate Hogan the person, who doesn't sound like he was, at least on race, horrible human being. You could separate him because the Hogan character was always like over the top, and Terry, the real guy, was a little more subdued and normal, in that he's not this over the top, character, whereas Hogan was always like the character. So, whereas Ric Flair, somewhere along the way, long time ago, Richard Flair, the real guy, stopped being. It's like the weird like Batman Bruce Wayne thing. It's like Batman is the real face, Bruce Wayne is the mask. It's like, yeah, it's flipped. Like Nature Boy Ric Flair, that's who he is 24/7.
Yeah.
Only now, he's an alcoholic, and that all the sex pestery, and he seems like he is just a progressively sadder version of the Ric Flair character, and he won't go away.
Yeah, and
so it's like,
and I think
you're becoming you're a character of a character of a caricature at this point, and we're actually slowly watching him die, because
and I think
he doesn't look well. He just seems drunk all the time.
And I think like when I hear people like when they go to cons, like no one ever really has anything interesting to say about meeting him. He's kind of just whatever, just signs your shit.
There and signs stuff.
And like for me, that does make a difference, because I feel like if Shad and I ran into Flair, I don't feel like it would be a good meeting. And I feel like if we just ran into Hogan like on the street or something, like he'd probably be annoyed by us, but he wouldn't show up because he's a politician. Like we'd probably have like, oh yeah, he talked to us a couple minutes. It was fine.
So
he was a celebrity that understood that he was a celebrity in a field where, for lack of a better way to put it, like public relation. Well, public is not the right, because I mean, he never really apologized.
public perception.
Public perception, like his persona and everything like that, and that it's how do I put it? It's like not that it's like a service industry, but it's kind of like
It is.
the people are actually like the ones who put money in your pocket. So if you see people out, you're gonna like somebody be like, whoa, Hulkster, can I get a handshake? Or fist bump, whatever. Like maybe he'd do it if it didn't like inconvenience him. Like if he's just walking, he's not gonna necessarily stop, turn right around and do it. But
let
if
me
he's
put it
like
this.
walking, someone's like, Hogan, fist bump. Yeah, you walk, yeah, brother. Like, yeah, he could do that. Like, I could fully see him do that, and he understood. It's like, I gotta have like the persona for people, but that's smart.
Just to get an unnecessary dig in, Hogan's not the kind of guy who would have shoved a kid out of his way for wanting a picture with him.
No.
Now,
and that's the last endearing thing I did see Hogan do that kind of like almost made me like him a little bit. Is there at like some signing, and this kid shows up completely dressed as him, and he starts going into like the Hulk character and everything, and having like a back and the forth with the kid. And it was really endearing and really cute. And I was like, I almost kind of like you for a second, because like you probably made that kid's like day.
So I saw one of those where I don't know if it was the same one or not, but a kid comes in to do that, and Hogan won't let the kid talk. He keeps trying to talk back at the kid, and the kid's trying to do his thing, and I'm like, dude, can you not stop for just a minute to just let this kid do this thing he's been winding up for? But I am of the opinion that I know there have been plenty of people that says Hogan has a complicated legacy, and I've thought about it a lot, and I came to the conclusion that I disagree with that. And this puts him in the same, honestly, kind of the same, similar space to Michael Jordan. One of the most successful people of all time in their field, and a gigantic asshole at the same time. And so that's, to me, more I thought about it, I'm like, that's not really complicated. It's, I mean, Jordan is too, but we can't deny, Jordan's thing was never that he was a nice guy. Jordan's thing was always he's the best on the court, and he never had anything about being a nice guy. He was just like, no, I win. That's what it is. I don't care about anything else. Oh, okay.
How about another
Hogan? I wanted to say some nice things about him though. So he does have my
wait. Let Matt say his thing real quick.
What about an analogy of like Mike Tyson? Like I feel Hogan in his respective career was probably more successful than Tyson, but Tyson, it became a massive cultural figure. It was very successful for a time, and then, a lot of his own behavior kind of tarnished his legacy, and always will. Like with Mike Tyson, let's say Mike Tyson lives another like 20 years, like he'll pass away. Like a lot of people who, in retrospect will have nostalgia and think positively of him, but his career will have always been marred by controversy. I feel Hogan had a more successful career again in wrestling and a bigger impact. But
yeah. I think Tyson's repaired his image a little bit, because where I think the difference with Tyson is he did all that stuff and it does mar his legacy, but he obviously at some point got medicated, went to therapy and stuff, and he's obviously not like as much that guy anymore. And I think he's and he seems sincere like about a lot of stuff, and I think he did the opposite of Hogan. I think that's helped him. He's been contrite a bit, and
Hogan never really actually apologized. It was a non-apology. It's like whereas, and I've thought about this too in the context of wrestling, because you had said, Brad, like off air, you had said like if Hogan had actually like apologized, but seemed like he was sincere, whether he actually was or not, and it wouldn't have even taken like a whole lot. He could have just been like, look, man, I'm older. I was raised in a different culture where those views on race were acceptable, but I know they're not, and like I'm working on like I'm really trying to understand, and I know that I've hurt people, and I got to do better. Like, but he seemed genuinely apologetic, and then just like lay low for a while. People would have probably been more willing to forgive him, and maybe
No,
thought
I think
whether he was or not.
I think people, especially like wrestlers that grew up with him, I think they were waiting to trip over themselves to forgive him. And I don't even think.
Yeah.
I think he could have just said something as simple as like, "Look, I'm sorry, I disappointed you. I'm sorry, like I hurt you guys. Like I'm gonna work on it and do better." Like he didn't have to do that much.
All he had to do.
Yeah, that's really what still astounds me about it, because and that's why I say I don't think he understands. I don't think he understands. That's the problem. I don't think he's ever.
He's just
Yeah.
Look, well, in the context of wrestling, compare him, and I think I've even used this analogy before. I don't know if I used it on the show when we talked about it in 2018, but I certainly talked about this on the show before. God rest his soul, Jay Briscoe. Briscoes could have been at the WWE years ago, but they didn't, and that's largely because of the controversy around Jay Briscoe's remarks about the LGBTQ community.
Yeah.
But that really affected their career. Mark is getting a chance to shine now, but unfortunately Jay never did because of that and now he's passed away. But he made a pointed effort to change his views to the point where there are many people in the industry who are LGBTQ who have said, I worked with him. This was not a man who like hated us. This is a man who was changed. This is a man who was always kind to us. He helped us out. He was generous with us. And that's people who are in the community saying, this was my experience with him. Like he had apologized for what he did. And he showed by his actions that he had changed and treated them with respect, treated them as peers, as equals, helped them out in some cases. So compare those two situations. Like Hogan, he couldn't even really give an actual.
He couldn't even fake
at least
it.
what would appear to be. Yeah, it would appear to be a genuine apology.
Like and that's what tells me about that. That's why I don't give him anything.
Yeah, I mean
that's why I can't.
You want a real apology. You don't be like, well, at least fake it, dude. Fake it. Like you want a real apology. But when someone's like, you can't even give me the
bare minimum
bullshit. Yeah, the bullshit courtesy to at least like blow air up my ass that it's like you're real. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's this whole like, I'm sorry you're upset, and it's like, I'm
dude.
sorry. Oh, this is a side.
Nothing makes me want to slap somebody harder than I'm sorry you took it that way.
Someone in our personal lives like lied to my wife's face, and my wife caught this person in a lie, and the person was like, well, I'm sorry that you're upset, and it's like, you're not gonna apologize for the blatant lie that we're calling you out on and you've been caught on. It's like, I'm sorry you took that the wrong way, and it's like, no. It's like if you can't even.
That's not an apology.
The courtesy to give even like a fake apology. And if he did that, if he gave an obviously fake apology, you could wipe your ass with it. But the fact that he was like, oh, you gotta watch out for those cameras, dude. That's where your head is. You called people. You said, I don't want my daughter blankety blank.
Yeah, you used like the hard R version of the word you don't use.
And he said other worse things at other points in time. So
but here's another thing. My thing with why I think it's so stupid. I didn't care if he apologized at the time. Like I just didn't. Like I don't. He said it. Whatever. You can apologize, whatever. I don't care. Like it wouldn't have. I would have the same opinion if he made a heartfelt apology. I wasn't looking to forgive him, but I think what makes him so stupid though is, like I said, people really wanted to forgive him and move on. Like they would have taken the half-assed, like pre-scripted sincere apology and been fine with it. Like that's how stupid it is, because he just couldn't do it.
So here's the other thing. Hogan knew he knew it was either he shouldn't be doing it or it was wrong. He knew that because when they released the phone, when his son was in prison, they record all the prison phone calls. It's a security thing. They just do. And someone released the tape. Whether or not that's ethical or not, it happened. And when they released it, he tried to get around saying racist things by speaking about it in Carney. Talking about being a Blizzak Gizai. And it's like, dude, you knew full well this is not something that you ought to be saying out loud. So you tried to hide it a little bit. It's like, not only were you unrepentant of it, like you didn't, like, there was no apology because you didn't believe that there was anything to apologize for.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you know what? Like, I'm done. Like, I was a Hulk fan when I couldn't watch wrestling as a kid. Mom didn't like it. But what I did get to see, I liked Hogan. Why? Because Hogan was the dude. And then later on, as I got older and I got, more autonomy and watched it myself, I was less and less into Hogan. Part of it was NWO, and hating Hogan was what he was going for. Okay, cool. Except it wasn't, because he was also trying to be a cool heel. Whatever. But I liked him less and less. I was a Sting guy. And so I didn't have the same attachment that a lot of people did. Like, I watched the Hogan-Andre match, and I'm like, I know they're working around Andre's limitations here, but I'm still like, on the match kind of thing.
I've grown to appreciate that.
I'm not an apologist. I'm not a, I was a little Hulkamaniac because that's what was presented to me. And I'm like, no, I'm not on the train, and I don't think I ever really was. So that might
I do stick up for him a lot as a worker, not as a person, as like a wrestler, because there is this narrative that like he sucked. And it's like, no, like you obviously, because I was talking with someone, they were asking if like someone could have like replaced Hogan. And I'm like, no, like there are guys that you could have tried, but the thing is, he could have gone anywhere with that act, and he proved it because he did it in the AWA. And if he would have gone to the South where he needed to work harder, like he would have done it. Like he was a competent worker, and he would have risen to whatever working standards were required of him.
Yeah. I one thing I saw, like some people were like, "Oh, it's hack to say like Hogan was better in Japan." But we looked at some matches. We reviewed some matches.
Yeah,
we'll talk about it in a bit. But there's a Japanese match on that, and I told you guys, like, if in a different reality, Hogan like never for whatever reason decided to stick around in North America, he went just overseas. He was in like All Japan. Or he stayed with New Japan, but he was over there in Japan. Like, he would have actually been a big star there. He would have been huge. You would talk about him and the way that people talk about like Stan Hansen or Dr. Death, Steve Williams, Terry Gordy, some of the other guys who were in Gaijin stars, Vader. He would have been huge over there because he actually could work far better than people thought he was. He didn't have to, because a big part of him was like his physical charisma and his way of, he knew how to work the crowds and feed the crowds and draw from the crowds, and he could. And I think that is an underrated thing for his, which again, like the longer you watch wrestling, the more you get this. But he could work things. I saw there was a match. I think it was like, what was it? It might have been the SummerSlam match we watched. Remember, like where it's like against like the Twin Towers or Boss Man. But
that was our Mega Powers retrospective, I think.
There's
because the SummerSlam was him and Beefcake against Zeus and Randy Savage, and it was him and Beefcake trying to desperately get anything like worthwhile out of Zeus and like failing miserably.
Yeah, that ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
But he could work a crowd sometimes, like. And just like he would know like just the right moment to do like his head or do like and the crowd would pop huge. Like he was a master at that, and that's something that it's like, for all his personal flaws, I can somehow at least separate the two and appreciate him as a worker and his impact.
I can appreciate the skill because I know there's the running gag of like how can I say the running gag of saying something like, oh, Mina Shirakawa has live event charisma. Like Hogan had physical charisma and a way of connecting with the crowd that was on another level from almost anybody. You want other people to get to that level. We got to start working real hard. Dusty could, and then we'd have to talk out some other folks.
Flair.
But Dusty, Flair, like
Inoki.
Hogan was able to connect in such a way like that. And I'm cribbing a little bit from the most recent Voices of Wrestling flagship podcast because they made a really good point. It's like, this is a guy who was so good at doing that he was supposed to be a heel in his Mania match with The Rock and flipped the crowd. Right?
I have to say though, I think they were being stupid thinking that he was going to go back to Toronto for the first time in like a decade and they were going to boo him. Like that was kind of dumb on their part.
I can respect and appreciate the accomplishments and the skill. I can 100% do that. But when you're saying it's not just that it's Hogan, I'm like, no, I'm sorry, I can't. The thing that I think you guys had mentioned earlier, could someone else have been in that spot? Someone else could have been in that spot, but it would not have been as big.
And
like
they couldn't have
Hogan
done
was the biggest guy to get the most out of it. Could you have put, supposedly, according to Meltzer, Vince's other idea was Dusty.
Dusty was getting old, though.
But here's the thing. With the style they were working, I think Dusty could have gotten away with it. But would it have been as big? I don't think so. It was a mixture of, it was Vince going out and plucking a guy who was ready-made to
get to that.
Take him onto national TV.
Yeah.
That's what that was, but it was a smart business move, but let's not pretend that he created Hulk Hogan.
No.
Hulk Hogan was already done.
I think
Hulk Hogan was a finished product.
I think the issue with replacing him, though, and it's something I realized today when I was having that conversation, is people really focus on replacing him in the 80s, but the problem is replacing him, that person, I can't think of someone that could then turn around a decade later and spark a secondary boom in the 90s that's almost as big as the original by turning heel. I did think of one person I think who could have replaced him, though. And it's usually the one I come up with. But Mid-South Hacksaw Jim Duggan, I think, would have been probably the best replacement if they had kept his Mid-South character. Where he's just that blue-collar kind of dumb caveman guy.
You kind of had a mix of the Dusty and Hogan in that.
Yeah.
You put them together. Now, the other thing that I don't hate on Hogan for having the routine, in his WWF routine, where Hogan comes out and he knocks the guy down a little bit, and then the heel starts beating on him until he's kneeling and the heel punches him, and then he'll start shaking his head. Like, it was a standard routine. But that routine is what gave him the longevity that he had. The only thing that I would have changed for his routine was, like, his routine gave him the longevity. It gave him the thing to look forward to. You're having the standard match, and what are you doing? You're waiting for him to hulk up. And when he starts hulking up, the crowd gets into it and stuff. Like, the formula worked, and I don't blame him for the formula working. The only thing I would have changed is, dude, don't drop the leg for the finish. Like, just do the axe bomber or something. Don't do the leg drop for the finish. That's the only thing I would have changed, because I think that would have extended his career even more. But, Brad and Matt made some good points about, like, is that going to work on as well, for example, on
Kamala.
Andre?
Well, no, Kamala.
Probably not.
Kamala would have bumped for that well, so Kamala's a bad choice.
Yeah. Would it have worked on Andre? It would have worked. Would it have worked as well? Probably not, but I don't think that there would have been an appreciable difference. So I understand why he worked the way he did, and I can appreciate that, maximizing the mileage on your body, and how much you're drawing out of it. It just got really tiring to watch.
You know what's funny is we had that whole long conversation, and then I really liked the way he did the leg drop in the Bockwinkel match, because there was something different about how he did it, and I was like, oh, I really like how he did that, because he kind of came out of the corner and did it versus off the ropes. And of course, dumbass Ron Trongard called it a leg smash. I'm like, I hate you.
Yeah, that guy was.
Oh, he's terrible. There's a whole. If you watch the Laps fan about the AWA, they have a whole bit about like, I'm Ron Trongard.
He's the worst. I hate Ron Trongard. He is literally. He's probably my top 5. Like.
Oh, he's
worst.
Yeah.
I don't count like the last like several years of the WWE where it's like they would have a new like announcer for
no, you have to do
like,
it a
2
while.
months, to the point where you can't even recall who they
Yeah.
are. I mean, for a guy who was a name and is associated with wrestling for a time, like he's probably in my bottom 5.
Oh,
Like,
he's
yeah.
terrible.
It's like
The fact that everything was a body part smash. I'm like,
yeah.
Did,
He did it for a long time too. That's the worst part. So it was like I was
get
trying
a
to-
thesaurus, dude.
It was like him. It's like Michael Cole, Kevin Kelly. I had another one in there I hate.
Mike Adamle.
I don't think I've listened to him enough to hate him.
Okay.
He was-
Mark
He's
Madden.
not good.
I can't. Markman's Color. I consider Color a different.
Oh,
There was someone else I said, and I don't remember who it was. Oh well.
Kevin Kelly.
I said Kevin
you
Kelly.
said Kevin Kelly.
Kevin Kelly.
Um,
Kevin Kelly might be my most hated announcer of all time. Like he ruins everything he announces.
Who was that little shit that turned the New Japan show into hating on AEW?
I haven't heard enough of him to like have an opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I don't recall his name, Shad, but I agree. I
Okay.
haven't heard enough. Kevin Kelly. There's times when Kevin Kelly was doing New Japan that I thought he was there. He wasn't actively making the product bad. He was just there. So I mean, there's something we said like you're not good, but you're also not horrible. You're just kind of blah.
I
I
got another name.
He actively made Ring of Honor bad for a long time.
I got another name, but I can't remember if he was color or what. Jonathan Coachman.
Oh, Coachman was the other one. Yeah, he was. in
I
there.
thought it might be.
He was.
Oh my god.
Oh,
How is that guy so bad at everything? He did it for so long, and now he continues to go
And
on
he
to
has-
just be wrong all the
I
time.
know he's the worst.
How do you do that?
Yeah, he's definitely. So it'd be.
Even Sam Roberts is right occasionally.
So I do want to say there's a couple of Hogan stories I do like though, to be sort of nice to him. So he does have one of my favorite ribs of all time. So we did this on the show when the Giant beats him for the title. So and Giant's like brand new in the business. Hogan's like, you gotta wear the belt around, brother. You got let people know you're the champion.
You gotta wear it around, dude. You gotta wear it all the time. You gotta go to McDonald's.
wear it all the time.
And he's in like
You gotta let people.
and he's like in the airport, and Sting's like, what the hell are you doing? Like, put that away.
What are you doing?
I appreciate that Sting was like, dude, what are you doing?
But I like that rib.
That's
But I like that rib because I hate when people always want to talk about ribs in wrestling because they're always sociopathic and dumb. And I like that one because it's like, okay, that's funny. No animals were hurt. Like, no one was maimed in the process. And there was a guy.
Yeah,
right.
It's not the
It's
Mr.
not Mr.
Fuji.
Fuji.
It's like,
Yeah.
It's like I killed your dog and fed him to you. Ha! And it's like
And then
Mr. Fuji has like your car's engine taken out of the engine compartment as a rib.
Yeah.
It's like, gee, how much is it going to cost to put that back?
And then there was a developer for one of the THQ games. They had done some event and they had limos. And Hogan and some of the guys were there. And this guy was a developer and he happened to just get turned around. He got into the wrong limo. And Hogan's there. He's like, oh, like, I'm sorry. And like Hogan's like, no, man, just ride along with me. And they just like rode to the next thing and talked. And like, he was like, yeah, it was cool.
I think out of all the THQ stuff, my favorite little bit of trivia out of it was when they made WCW NWO Revenge. I bought that. I had the poster on my wall in my room, and I would look at it sometimes because who's on the poster? On the poster is Hogan and Nash and Goldberg and Raven. And I'm like, why is Raven on here? Like, lots of people you could have picked. Why is Raven? Because Raven was the favorite of the developers, so they wanted to put him on all the promotional stuff, and he didn't want to be there. Because that's when Raven was really bad in his addiction stuff, and he's just like, God, I didn't want to go, but I go anyway because I'm getting paid for it. On the poster, he's just standing there with that irritated look on his face.
You know what always bothered me is they did that cool. Is that the one that has like the cool Hogan Sting face off at like the intro that like had never is in the game like whatsoever?
Yeah, yeah.
That always bugged me.
The fact that they had all that whole lead in and it was done with the in-game assets, I really liked that.
Yeah, that's a good game. That's kind of still my favorite because I don't. I know everyone says No Mercy, but I didn't like No Mercy because No Mercy really feels like it's being held together by like bubblegum and string because it's really taxing the system.
Mania 2000 is a nice middle road between World Tour and No Mercy. Like No Mercy had a much more robust creative character.
Yeah.
And dude, I loved me some creative character.
Yeah. So do we want to get in the matches some more? Or do we want to?
Yeah, let's go ahead and go through the matches. It's I got an early morning tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think we've harped on the
stuff,
character stuff enough. Because I think I honestly think you do have to have that conversation about the person with that. Okay, so we're going to start off. We're going to do this sequentially. So we have 4 matches for you tonight, 4 lovely little matches from different eras in his career. So we're going to start with what is, I think after watching this again for the first time in a number of years, the biggest fuck up in wrestling history by a mile.
This match is it is rivaled by Starrcade Hogan Sting.
Yeah, so this is
those are the two I put them side by side.
Yeah, so this is Super Sunday. Nick Bockwinkel defending against Hulk Hogan. I have to say I like Real American, but there's something about him coming out to Eye of the Tiger that's like next level, and like so this event's huge.
It immediately made it seem like big.
Yeah.
Because I mean, maybe it's just because like it was an actual like big popular song associated with
something he was
a big
in
popular movie. Yeah.
So this
but
event,
it is one of the most like iconic anthem songs of all time, and I love the fact that he comes to the ring to it, and then they do the announcements and they announce Bockwinkel, and when they go to announce Hogan, they start it over, and it it's like that's a small touch, but it added a lot in that moment, so I liked that.
And let's state the obvious here. He was ungodly levels of over.
No,
like you will rarely see someone as over with the entire like arena. How many people were in that arena?
So many that they had to get a second arena so people could watch it on closed circuit TV.
It's unreal. Like you don't nowadays. It's like I don't know that there are people as over as that. I mean, people say, "Oh, Jey Uso." It's like no. Like this was another level.
That's not the same thing. There's a difference between
like
there's a difference between
chanting his name the entire match like over.
There's a difference between a participation entrance because it's fun to do and someone being over. And if that is, I can't think of a better stark contrast between Jey Uso and Hogan in this. Is like. One of them is it's an entrance that people find it fun to do that, and the other one is like, no, this dude's just over like God.
It's something that it's 42 years later, and you can still like the energy like still feeds through like to you because like and the other thing that I think immediately strikes you is it's Hulk Hogan. Like for as much as like WWE will feed you lies about how Vince is a genius and everything. It's like, no, that's Hulk Hogan right there. Finished product, it's all there.
It's ironic you said. I mean, it's ironic you said that because Meltzer actually, in the last like day or two, did because it was passing around this afternoon this clip where he was talking about how like it's that WWE has brainwashed people And let's be honest, they've brainwashed at this point 1 or 2 generations of people to think that wrestling wasn't popular until Vince and Hulkamania and everything in the 80s. And I think actually, someone I saw posted statistics where, and now part of this is like the sign of the times. Like very few, we can clown on the WWE for having increasingly lower viewership worldwide, and they are. It's troubling as a fan of wrestling that it's gone down, but it's also cable itself has gone down, and that's partly because now there's a million different options. My wife and I, we're probably going to cut cable soon because we don't really watch cable that much. We watch streaming services. And if you don't want that, there's stuff like Twitch. There's YouTube. You can just watch people play video games or whatever it is that interests you. But 50 years ago, like in the 70s, you had
this many channels.
Yeah, you had that many channels, and people
Where the
would
fuck
go.
did you get that
People
many
were
channels?
like in an annual year, millions of people would go to wrestling shows across the country, WWF or the territories, whatever. Millions of people did because it was much bigger then. Because I think partly because you had less options, but
And it was much more
huge.
It was
huge.
much more special. It was much more regionalized too. So like
Yeah.
like if you were in Memphis, the Mid-South Coliseum was there every week having a show. So like there was or if you go and watch World Class, World Class ran the weekly, like you'll start to know the fans in the crowd.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Cuz you'll be like there was this like Mexican guy that would sit in the front row of the shows, and he was there forever, and he stopped going like, oh my god, I hope he didn't like die or something. Like you actually like get to know the people sitting there.
All you gotta do, dude, for folks that are like, oh, wrestling wasn't big until then, is you just, I saw someone make a great point. You point to the Von Erichs, right? And you'd be like, oh, I guess they weren't popular. And what they sold out, what stadium was it they sold out? In Dallas, like huge sellout for the Von Erich stuff.
Are they regular red shows or like
Cotton Bowl maybe?
Maybe I'm just saying as an example. Like I know they ran out of the Sportatorium, but when they had big shows, they had big shows. And I mean, Bill Watts, they were making money hand over fist, consistently touring all over their territory. It's like Meltzer's right. The idea that it's like, oh no, it wasn't anything until Vince got a hold of it. It's like, yeah, it wasn't anything until Vince got a hold of it and got a sweetheart deal from his dad with a loan that was, oh well, if you miss a payment, but make the payments when you feel like it. And then apparently at some point in the documentary, Linda was like, yeah, the first Garden Gate just paid that off. We weren't worried about it.
They were in trouble going into Mania because they were stretching with the TV and stuff. So they were in some financial difficulties. But I was going to say, too, with what you're saying, Ricky Dozen versus the Destroyer from the 60s is like the most watched match in wrestling history, I think.
Yeah, what was it? What's the supposed number? Like
it drew like something. It drew something stupid. Like,
hang on, I'm gonna look it up.
It basically everyone in the country was watching that match.
Yeah,
like everyone. Like it did better comparatively than probably any Super Bowl has ever done here in America.
Mm-hmm.
And Meltzer actually said something since Hogan died, because he's talked about Hogan's impact and chatted with people online about it, and some people were completely incredulous to this, but he was saying like Ricky Dozen in Japan was like an actual legit star. He's basically, in American terms, he's probably on the level of someone like Jordan or something, where it's like, no, you don't understand the level of like star he was and how legit he was legitimate, and to this day is still like considered national hero.
Well, and
so check this out.
Dad,
quick.
Chad, real quick, I'm looking it up right now. I think allegedly the highest attendance for World Class was over 32,000, but that was the David Von Erich Memorial Show.
Okay.
The next one though was at the Cotton Bowl in 1985. They had 26,000.
Yeah, because
and then actually earlier that year they also had they were at Texas Stadium.
The Gino
Yeah, another
Hernandez,
26,000.
the dynamic duo versus the Von Erich feud was like huge. I was gonna say with Ricky Dozen too. Just look at pictures of that dude and you'll understand why he was a star, because you had this big
So-
tough guy that looked like a movie star wrestling.
So
Yeah.
here's what I did. I looked up. Here's what I found. If it's wrong, then I'll apologize. But Ricky Dozen versus Destroyer, May 24th, 1963, suggesting, first of all, achieving a 67.0 rating, not 6.7, 67.0 rating, suggesting 70 million viewers.
And that's on the
Yeah.
to-do list. We're gonna watch that one day.
And then
You can't get you're not going to get probably 70 million people watching a Super Bowl, and I don't know if anyone has watched that.
I think
Ricky Dozen versus Luthez attracted 87.5% of the Japanese television household audience in 1957.
Now, here's the thing with that though. So it has a higher, because I do know this, because I know things I shouldn't. So the Luthez match has a higher percentage rating. But more people watched the Destroyer match because more people had televisions for when that one aired. So it has a lower household rating, but more people watched it. And I should not know that, but I do.
Well,
and that is on
we all know weird things that we should.
And that is on our to-do list to watch one day because of its status.
I stand corrected. I immediately put down, but allegedly the most recent Super Bowl, they're saying almost, I'll round up, 128 million people watched it, which but that point, at this point, I don't know that people actually watch the Super Bowl for the Super Bowl versus they watch for the ads. My wife doesn't. My wife likes football. She's a Bears fan, but unless it's a situation where the Bears are gonna be in the Super Bowl, she doesn't necessarily care that much. She cared a little bit because she, Travis, Taylor Swift's boyfriend, was playing in it, and she likes watching. She likes watching for the halftime show and the ads. So my wife may watch it first, but she's not gonna care about the actual football portion of the game necessarily. She's not. She likes football, so she may watch it, but it's not
I was gonna say
it's turned into WrestleMania.
And then there's some people hate watching.
I can't do it anymore because it's turned into WrestleMania for me, where the football is so secondary. It just takes too long, and it's your whole night.
Oh yeah,
I like the football portion, so there have been times where but a lot of recent times it's also games haven't really been that good, or they're really lopsided. Occasionally, there's been
in
the last 10 years. There's been
Niners Chiefs
one.
The Niners Chiefs one was really good.
There's been some where it's this is interesting, and I actually care about the football portion, so it's I will get into it. But yeah, a lot of people I think now being 128 million watched it. It's did 128 million watch it because they did football, or did half that number watch it because they like football, and the other half just wanted to see Katy Perry star in a commercial for something. I don't know,
or Nationwide or something.
Yeah.
I don't even think the commercials have been that good in a long time. They never really stick with me anymore.
Because I've got an early morning and I'm sorry about this. Back to the match, guys.
Yeah.
So this is I actually thought this was a pretty good match. So it's kind of Hogan pretty much just kind of takes him pillar to post. He's a little different than the WWE Hogan you would think. He's a little more. I actually like the AWA version of Hogan because a lot of the cartoon is gone, but he still does a lot of the Hulkamania, the Hulkamaniacs thing. But that's not particularly unique because Austin Idol was doing that in the 70s in Georgia. And so there's some cool stuff I like in this. So Hogan does this kind of running body slam where he tries to pin Bockwinkel. I really liked the visual because Bockwinkel gets him in a sleeper, and Bockwinkel on his back I thought was a really cool visual.
Bockwinkel wasn't a small man.
No.
No, not at all. And it's a fun match to watch. There's a lot that happens in it. that you're getting it builds it builds. I don't want to say gradually, but consistently, more and more and more to the crowd getting fired up for it.
Yeah, it really, the way they built the match, I feel, made the Dusty finish even worse.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, like, I think for a title change with this big of a crowd, like, they worked the perfect match for it.
Yeah, they did it. It was okay. I should rephrase. This is from before the stylistic change where I really get into it. So this is the older. It's an older style, so I'm
Slower.
not as into it. Yeah, it's slower and there's kind of less stuff in that. I mean, it's what it was. It was the way of doing it at the time, and it was a really good match for its setting. It's not my favorite thing to watch, but I can appreciate skill for it.
It's
The Dusty finish was insane.
no, it's
Yes.
so stupid.
Oh my
You know why I think it's so egregious is because, so I'm going to give some context here. So usually when there are title changes, that Stanley Blackburn guy was in the crowd. So
Mhm.
so he's the one that like overturns what the referee did, which I think that's really extra. Well, so there's a couple things why I hate the Dusty finish. So it's bullshit to override the referee as like an outside source. But the second is, I watched it and they misinterpreted what over the top rope is. Like, that is not how the rule should work. Because Hogan did not throw him over the top rope. Hogan was trying to get out of a hold, and Nick Bockwinkel was carried over the top rope, and I don't feel like that is a violation of over the top rope. But that's just
so
my
that,
opinion.
that happens. Bockwinkel goes over, and then a little bit later, Hogan pins him.
Yeah.
And yeah, the crowd explodes as they would. Oh my God, new champion. Now it's going to be like the Hulk Hogan era. And they pulled the Dusty finish like, oh, we're reversing the decision. Hogan is disqualified. And the crowd is pissed.
What's funny is you know what it reminded me of? When he leg drops Savage at Bash at the Beach, and the crowd is just like, you can just feel
throwing trash
and you
immediately.
can feel like how bad the energy is. It was exactly like that.
It is.
At least with Bash at the Beach, it's like bad energy, but it's also like you wanted that.
It was like
you
make
wanted
money
the shock.
energy.
Yeah, it was like you wanted the shock. You wanted people to be legit pissed because that's actually like the money energy.
Yeah.
Because now people like, you have betrayed me, Hogan. I'm gonna like now start giving money to this company. I'm gonna give money to this company to kick your ass for what you've done.
This was
not that. This was like
your team
you just screwed your entire promotion.
Yeah, this is your team just made it to the World Series, and it's the bottom of the ninth of Game 7, and the other team just hit a walk-off home run on your team. That's what this.
It's not even that. It's not even that, because the other team doing that's skill. That's a skill thing. This is turning around and actively spitting on your audience.
This is why Vince won. It's why Vince won.
This is it's. I don't want to just say it, but we had Tex on the podcast before, and he uses a phrase. He says, "Contempt for your audience will kill people who want to watch your stuff," and that's what I got out of this. It was contempt for their audience. Like, oh no, you'll come back and see it next time. It's like, are you sure about that? Because I'm not thinking they will.
This is what happens when you think you're. This is what happens when you're an old timey wrestling promoter and you unironically call people marks.
Yeah, it's
so bad.
If you don't give people what they want at the right time to give it to them, they're gonna quit coming back.
So I want to ask you guys something.
Wait, Matt's got something.
Okay.
Brad, I don't know the history of AEW's title history like by heart. Did Vern put the title on himself after this at some point? Like,
no. So
he loved doing that.
So so what happened is, so Bockwinkel had it for like 7-ish years. Like, he had it through most of the 70s into the early 80s, and then Vern ended that reign and retired with the belt in like 81. So he doesn't put the belt on himself anymore. But you can tell, Mr. Egomaniac, after all this, Vern still has to go on last. I don't know if you caught that.
I saw that too.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, people are going to be walking out of the building.
Yeah, because no one gives a shit
after
about
that finish.
Yeah. So so Bockwinkel had it probably since 81 or 82 at this point. And I think Hogan had been pursuing him since 82. And then he loses it to Jumbo Tsuruta, I think he loses it to in 84. And then Martel beats Tsuruta. And then I think Otto Swans maybe beats Martel, who no one knew who the hell he was. But this is one thing I want to ask you guys, since if you guys, I think this is the first time Shad's seen it, and I think if Matt had seen it before, he hasn't seen it for decades. So coming into this fresh, knowing that it was going to be bad, how much of a blunder do you seeing this first time, like, how bad of a blunder do you think this is? Like, out of it, like, do you think it's like such like one of the worst mistakes in wrestling history? Like coming into it fresh, like,
Absolutely.
Were you pissed by how it worked out?
Absolutely. I actually have never seen this match. I had heard plenty of times like, oh, they were running Hogan, but Nick Bockwinkel, because Hogan was with the AWA, and that they botched it. Like they never put the title on Hogan. And I had always heard that. I'd never seen it. Here I actually got to see it, and it legit pissed me off. It's something that happened, 40 plus years ago. Now Hogan's dead. Nick Bockwinkel is dead. The AWA has been dead for like 30 years.
Vern's dead.
Yeah, this happens decades ago, but it pissed me off because I'm like, I don't know how you take the easiest layup of all time, and you just basically, it's like, all you gotta do is give it to your star player for a layup, and instead of giving that star player, you're like, and then you just take the ball and you just like chuck it off the court. How do you screw this up? They screwed it up.
Neither here
They
nor
screwed it up.
Yeah,
and it pissed me off.
Neither here nor there, because he wasn't mentally competent, and I'm just saying it because it's, saying all that. Vern did like murder someone too when he was like, he was not mentally competent though. Just it was an incident in the retirement home, and it was an accident.
This finish is something that I would have, if you had told me this killed the territory that night, I would 100% believe you.
It actually didn't. Because Hogan stays for a while after, and then he leaves because he ends up leaving because Vern tries to steal his merchandise money, even though Hogan was like, I think Hogan was like doing
it all himself.
Yeah. And then so why the territory doesn't die right after this is the Road Warriors come in after this. So they actually keep doing really good business through 85. Then the Road Warriors leave, and then the territory just dies.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying, if you had told me that the territory died right after this, I would have 100% believed you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like that level of bad.
Yeah.
And basically what you're saying is like it didn't die only because they somehow
run Chicago and
golden goose. Yeah, they landed another golden goose in the Road Warriors.
They landed,
in the 80s were licensed to print money.
Yeah, and in their hometown that they ran.
Yeah.
And I think they had. I think after this they had like, they still had Bockwinkel, but then they had like Martel, the Freebirds, Road Warriors. I think Buddy Rose and Doug Summers, Henning, Scott Hall. Though Scott Hall wasn't like Scott Hall yet. I think he was just Scott Hall. And I think he still had a perm or whatever. But yeah, so they did okay after a while. But I mean, like, like you said, the Road Warriors were literally like
one of the most over acts at the time, up there with Hogan.
Yeah.
It's God. I just look at it and I'm like, this is so stupid. Like, why would you do this? I don't Because if you get to the point where you get there and you get to the payoff and you get to the payoff and you're right there and you're ready for that payoff, and then not only do you not give it to them, but you give them a fake out dusty finish for it. I mean, the whole building's chanting bullshit after the match.
Yeah.
You've lost them at that point. I wouldn't be surprised if when Vern had his match, everybody is throwing stuff specifically at him.
I think they were gone by that point, but I think, I don't know, Greg's always given like dumb Greg's a dumb person when he talks and shoots and stuff. I don't like him. He's a really bad bullshitter. But I think it came down to he wasn't Vern's type of wrestler. Blah 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 blah. But
Doesn't matter.
I know.
Again, I don't understand how you can have something like that sitting right in front of you and not make the best of it. And that's the same thing I pointed at Vince about.
And I would the only real big shot that I thought detracted from the match other than the finish was I thought Lord James Blears was a terrible referee.
Yeah, he wouldn't get out of the damn way.
Because they did a sleeper spot and he just like touched them. He's like doing all stuff like, dude, get out of the way. I just want to
move.
Yeah, move.
Yeah, move.
So we're going to go on to our next match. So I think this one's from 86. So this is kind of maybe early 87. But so this is Hogan and Piper versus Harley Race and Paul Orndorff. This would have been probably, I'm guessing, like shortly after like the flower shop segment where Piper turned face in like September or October.
I mean, you could have fooled me watching this.
I only know that because I watched all the TV around this time.
But
it was clear that Piper had kind of joined the faces, but as you could see, like he's almost like a tweener because he's not, or he just at least was true to like not liking Hogan still.
Yeah.
Because they played the whole dynamic where Hogan and Piper were teaming up, but they weren't really sure of each other. They didn't trust each other.
Yeah.
And you at least got that vibe a lot from Piper. Piper was pretty good in this to kind of convey that to me. Like it was obvious. Like that was the dynamic.
Yeah.
I was pleasantly surprised by this match, actually, because I had just put it on there because it was a weird collection of names. I'm like, oh, this is a WWE tag. I don't have much expectations. And I was like, oh, they worked a pretty good pace. It was a fun little match. I had fun.
Where was this match? Was this on like a...
I bet it was a prime time wrestling match.
Okay.
Well, they taped...
Was it like tape?
They taped like a lot of... They taped a lot of stuff, though, because like... I know like Madison Square Garden and like Spectrum shows, they would tape all those because they like MSG and Spectrum had like their own respective like cable channels at the time that would air these. And then I know they taped a lot of stuff out of LA, but I don't know if that aired anywhere, but a lot of the stuff they taped. So it might have ended up on Primetime Wrestling. Well, it had to have ended up on, well, no, that's not true because they commentated stuff, but I know Gorilla was commentating.
Gorilla.
Was Heenan commentating?
He was managing.
He was there managing,
So it might have been a house show they taped for TV or something.
Yeah.
Or, well, I don't know if they would have been doing videotapes at this point. No, they probably were. This might have been for a videotape too. But I thought it was fun. Like I said, I was pleasantly surprised. I expected to be bored, and it was like, oh, this is a fun little romp for 10 minutes.
Yeah. Well, it was... Again, this was an older style kind of match that... God, a lot of time working the arm on Harley. A lot of time working the arm on Harley.
Harley was putting in a lot of work, though.
Yeah.
This must have been not that long after he had joined the WWE.
He
was doing the whole King Harley Race gimmick.
So what happened in 86 is they changed over because I think they changed the taping location. So Primetime Wrestling, I think, started. I don't know if it took over for anything, but then so Superstars used to be Championship Wrestling and Wrestling Challenge used to be All-Star Wrestling. So I think in September of that year, they started and they might have gone heavier into syndication. So the last episode of Championship Wrestling is when they crowned Harley Race the King. Because on the first episode of Superstars and Wrestling Challenge, they have a recap of him being crowned.
So this match was from 11/24/1986.
Yeah,
and I'm showing it was WWF on the MSG network.
Okay,
so
that makes sense. Because
it kind of goes.
Because when Piper turns face in the flower shop, he had a leg injury of some sort that I think they end up attacking. So that would have made sense if he turned in September that he would be wrestling again in November. So you want to go on to the next match?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh.
What's up?
By the way, that card with this match on it had a 10-minute Lanny Poffo versus Steve Lombardi match.
Oh, God. They were having a feud, if I remember correctly, because I think they did a couple of promos on TV on each other. Because they used to do those. If you watch old WWE TV, they did this thing that I actually don't hate, where they would have a match and they do cut-in promos with guys. Just cutting a little basic promo. It's an interesting approach, but I think I remember them having some. And they love, WWE loved like having, I've talked about how I'm still traumatized because like there's like this 5-year stretch where if you watch a random house show, you have like at least a 30% chance that you're going to have to sit through an SD Jones versus Baron Mikel Saluna match.
Yeah.
And they're always bad and they're always long. So they would do stuff like this on house shows.
Yeah.
This show, by the way, they're alleging almost just under a $20,000 person attendance.
Was this
19,700?
Was this the last
announced? It was Gorilla and Lord Alfred Hayes.
Oh, okay. Was this was this the last match on the card, or was this like middle of the card? Because they used to do curfew, so like you would get the main event halfway through.
Yeah, it was about middle of the card. Because after this they had a little person match, and then you had Coco Beware versus Jimmy Jack Funk. Wow. That's Jesse Barr, right?
Jesse Barr, yeah.
Yeah, and then you had the dream team of Beefcake and Greg Valentine against the Islanders of Haku and Tama. That was your main event. Clearly people came for that. Came for the Hogan Piper.
Yeah. Well, no. So what happened is, what happens on those old ones is the main event's usually about midway through the show or like somewhere in the 9 o'clock hour because MSG, I think they still have it. They curfew at 11. So they would put the main event earlier and then they would put stuff after the main event. So if curfew hit and things were running behind, you wouldn't screw people out of the main event.
Okay.
Again, useless trivia that I know.
Yeah, no, that's fair. It's good context.
So we're gonna bounce up to 1991, and this is kind of a weird time period because there's like. So this is the SWS, which is run by Tenryu, and it doesn't last long, and eventually comes back with War that does a little longer. But WWE had a working relationship with them for a little bit. So there's a couple of like co-shows that they did in like 91 and maybe 92. And this is one of them.
I used to have those. I think I had those two shows on like videotape. I think I got from like Jeff Lynch actually. I don't know if I still have those, and I don't a VCR that I could set up to even watch them. But I think I had those just because of the curiosity of like WWF stars from like the early '90s.
And there's some weird matches on there too. Like they're worth because is it an SWS show where the infamous Earthquake Katawe shoot happens?
I think so. Maybe.
I think it is.
Let me look that up.
So this is Hulk Hogan versus Tenryu, which I thought this was an interesting match because Matt had mentioned
it was. I actually I like this match a lot actually.
Because Matt had mentioned that someone was being all snide and saying like, "Oh, it's so hack to say Hogan worked better in Japan." It's like, well, like,
I mean, it can be both. You go through your period where it's like, I'm watching wrestling. Oh, Hogan's great, and then you get into your work rate smark phase, and you're like, oh, Hogan sucks, and then you're into the well, actually, and so it can be both true and hack to say it at the same time.
What I thought was interesting about this though is, if you watch, you have to pay attention. But I like that Hogan like subtly worked this heel.
Yeah. Him being frustrated,
aggressive,
him being
aggressive stuff, kind of shortcutty stuff he was doing.
Yeah. Getting frustrated with the ref.
I would say he was kind of non. It's hard to describe if you watch it. Like the way he would do stuff in the corner, like the way he'd do his strikes and stuff, was very kind of unsporting, and I would say heelish. But
He did a lot of eye rakes in this.
yeah,
Um, so it's a, it's not an outright heel like kick him in the junk kind of thing, but it's also not a.
it's it's when we watched. Do you remember when we watched? Was it SummerSlam '91 with Bret Hart and British Bulldog? This is what I was bitching that Bret Hart wouldn't do in that match.
Yeah. Oh yeah, would have gone a long way.
Yeah, and he's really over in
was-
this too.
Oh yeah, I mean I love this match. Like I thought it was really a lot of fun. Again, it's Hogan's better in Japan. Like Hogan is busting out from the very beginning. He's like busting out mat work. He's like putting like submission holes on Tenryu. Like it's just awesome.
And I would say he's doing logical mat work too. Like he's like there's a purpose behind it. He's not just doing like the Randy Orton. Like I'm just gonna lay
Lock
here
for 5 minutes.
Yeah, he's like I'm
we
gonna
slap on a chin lock for like
Yeah.
10 minutes.
I'm gonna take you
Yeah.
down. I'm gonna
At what point?
wear you out a little
Yeah.
bit. I'm gonna sit on you a bit because I'm bigger than you. Like there's like a definite
Yeah.
purpose to how he
Like
does
he's
it.
like, yeah, he's like got Tenryu down and he's like positioning him where it's like he's getting him into like a pin predicament. And Tenryu was like he's gonna kick out, but you could see it's more like psychology. It's like I'm big, I'm close to 300 pounds. I'm just gonna lay on you and I'm gonna make you. I've
I'm
really
making you expend the energy to have to kick out now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this was awesome. Like he's doing mat work. They briefly get into like a quick and I'm like, oh, that's like fun. It's like Hogan and Tenryu like exchanging chops, and
Yeah.
I'm like nodding my head because Hogan is eating Tenryu chops, and he's just like yeah, and he's like doing it back, and it made me think like you know what, dude, like Hogan was a big dude. Like again, if he had in a different reality, if he had stayed in like Japan, he'd gone to like All Japan. He could have hung. Like he could have been that hoss that it's like he's just throwing bombs, guys. He's taking big chops. He's dropping people on heads. He was a big, strong dude. Like he could take the punishment. He could give back. It was awesome. At one point, I don't know if you saw it. Like Hogan's down. Hogan kicks him right in the goddamn face, and Hogan's like, ah,
Yeah.
like he kicks him right in the face. There's even a spot where Tenryu does a fucking power bomb on Hogan. And then Hogan like kicks out, but it's like Hogan gave him a lot. Like he gave him a lot.
Well, I mean,
This by the way, this was the main event. SWS Super Wrestling Tokyo, December 12th, 1991. The match before this was Legion of Doom versus Natural Disasters of Tenten Typhoon.
I mean,
This was awesome.
it's the owner he's wrestling, so you got to give him a lot. But like, I think he was also. It's
But still, Hogan gave him a lot. He let him kick out of the leg drop. I think like twice.
I think
He kicked out
And
of
he
the
does
Axe
kick-
Bomber.
and there's
The first one, then he does like a second one, and that actually wins it for Hogan. But it was like, yeah,
well, and the
it's
other
awesome.
thing. The other thing you have to consider too is it's Japan, so he didn't necessarily think people were gonna see it over here, so he could be a little looser with stuff like that. But I also think, like, if you're coming over, like Tenryu is kind of like a respected figure in Japan, so I think like even as Hogan, you're gonna give him more out of respect.
So it's the whenever someone says that Hogan was better in Japan and they share the same like clipped little video, it's this match. And to be honest, most of what you're seeing in this match is the high points of Hogan stuff. Like it's a pretty comprehensive thing.
I mean, I've seen some Hogan stuff from back when he was like in the early '80s, like IWGP, New Japan.
But this
like
is what people show.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, he was doing pretty good. Like Hogan he could have hung.
Yeah.
I really do think that.
I think he
Yeah.
could have. You see stuff from the Muda match sometimes, but this is the one that like gets because I think that this is more clippable in how like a lot of it goes down.
Yeah.
And the Axe Bomber is cool as fuck.
Look, man, that's what I'm saying. I, honest to God, think he should have just kept using that. Because, man, that is that's a big, big difference in terms of wear on your body, as opposed to bumping on your ass repeatedly. Huge change in terms of the wear on your
Yeah,
body.
I wonder how much all of his leg surgeries and shit was because of the leg dropping.
100%, man. His
A lot,
hip,
yeah.
yeah,
Tailbone.
and yeah, compressing your entire upper body. There was a shoot interview I watched a long time ago with Tori Wilson, and she had started using the X Factor, the sit out world. You just sit down, except it was destroying my back, and I'm like, and Hogan was jumping way up high in the air for it.
Yeah. So then we have one final match for the evening, which is it's not his last match. It's his he had two matches after this that were 6-man tags. So this is his last singles match. And it might have been his last televised match. Cuz it looks like he wrestled with TNA on like some, I don't know, like European tour, and he was teaming with like James Storm and someone else for 2 matches. So I would say this is like the last time you probably saw him wrestle on TV. So this is Bound for Glory 2011. This is Hulk Hogan versus Sting. I have a soft spot in my heart for Joker Sting.
It's kind of an opportunity for Sting to cut loose and do a bit more verbal and have some fun with it.
Yeah. And so this is
This was Hogan. This was Hogan's last singles match. He had
yeah.
per cage match. And I know we talked about how cage match may not reflect everything, but they're probably comprehensive for this.
Yeah.
He had 2 more tag matches overseas, and then that was it.
Yeah. I think he teamed with James Storm and like someone else because they were 6-mans, I think.
Yeah.
So this is so we have to kind of give some context to this before we get into it. So Hogan physically couldn't really bump for this match, and it's obvious like his back's messed up. So you have to put that constraint on this because for what their limitations were and what they were going for, I was like, oh, this match really was a lot better than it had any right to ever be. Because they just were kind of smart about
Hogan bumped a little bit in it.
Yeah.
But it is...
It's Sting really...
You're right.
For him.
Yeah. Sting's doing a lot of work there to help him.
Sting does all the work here.
Yeah.
I didn't like this match. I like Joker Sting. I love Sting, but it is so apparent like Sting is doing all the work. And I mean, like it could have been Sting. Hogan could have been a tree in the middle of the ring, and just Sting like, let me just run and throw myself at the tree and like bump off the tree.
Near.
Yeah.
I think Hogan, and Sting still won too.
I think Hogan wasn't supposed to bump it. I think at the end because you could tell there was one bump he did okay, but there was one you could tell he was really struggling right before the go home to get up. I will say it's not like an amazing match. It's interesting for like the limitations. I will say I do like it better than their 2 1997 matches. I actually like it better than those.
There is it's a phrase I'm looking for here. There is a cloud over those matches around that because of Hogan's bullshit. And it sours me to go back and watch them knowing the bullshit that's part of it.
And I think they both have better energy in this. Like Sting's obviously in better working shape. Hogan is being, what's the word I want? Hogan is being more like giving than he was with the 97 matches.
Hard for me to remember that. I'll be honest with you.
I just like it better. I just
Um,
it doesn't they just it's better and to the point. Like I don't think it would have worked in '97 because I think Sting should have just like murdered him in '97. But like I said,
mhm.
I just
It should have been
Oh, yeah.
Sting goes out there, kills him, done.
yeah.
That should have been it.
And then this kind of has an angle
Yeah.
at the end where Hogan turns face, which I actually thought that part was a little bit of interesting because like he almost like there's like this briefest of seconds where he kind of recaptures the old magic, and he's doing this in front of Philly, so he got Philly to mark out for him, which is kind of hilarious.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. I think context-wise, it like Hogan was representing like Bischoff.
Yeah,
I think Sting was supposed to be like a TNA, like representing the TNA, and Dixie Carter. And if he won, Dixie got control of TNA again.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I think
I think that was so.
there was a point where
Yeah.
Dixie was like perpetually always needing to get control of TNA back.
Yeah.
And early at the very beginning of the match, like Ric Flair comes out and
Was this
he's there to
Aces and
psych out
Eights?
Sting. He's
No, Aces and Eights.
it was
Immortal.
around, yeah.
Immortal.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, Bubba Ray was part of this. Wes
Yeah.
Briscoe was part of it. Eric
Oh
Bischoff.
God,
was
I
part
haven't
of this,
thought
but,
of. I haven't
not
thought
Wes
about.
Briscoe.
No, Wes
It
Briscoe
was
was
Garrett
Gunner.
Bischoff.
Gunner.
Oh,
Yeah.
Garrett Bischoff was there too, and Gunner was part of it.
Yeah. So yeah, like, and Flair I think was aligned with Hogan, but Sting still wins. Puts the Scorpion Deathlock on Hogan. They even, I think Mike Tenay was even like, Hogan has had like surgery, constructed knees, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Hogan like taps out, and it was actually didn't like that part. I was fine with him tapping out, and I guess you're trying to tell the story where it's like, Garrett Bischoff was kind of like conflicted, but Hogan was clearly like tapping out in a lot, like 10 seconds of him just like tapping, and Garrett Bischoff was like,
Well, yeah, because the
"What, you
fix was
tap out?"
supposed
It's
to
like
be
he
in.
clearly taps out.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
But he does, like and
Let's
Sting
be-
wins.
let's be
and
fair.
Dixie Carter's like, I'm relieved. Like it was it's
Yeah.
really, really hokey.
Let's
For
be-
all the people who
yeah.
are like, oh, especially people now gassing TNA. TNA is like the second promote. Can we be for real? They never have been.
They
Exactly.
had
They're
they
the
had
second promotion. And
they had a moment in like there's a moment in 2006 when they had Christian and Sting, and they were kind of getting there, and then they brought Vince Russo back and like flushed it all down the toilet forever.
Yeah, that's.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say
Yeah, that was one of the rules from the network. They were like, "Yeah, we'll keep you on here, but you can't hire Vince Russo back." And they're like, "If we do it in secret, nobody will ever know."
no Shad. It's worse than that.
Mm.
They wanted to buy in. Like at the time, they wanted to buy in on the network.
And
on the
here's the other part. Here's the other part is the whole thing was blown by someone forwarding one of Vince's emails that had creative stuff in it
I thought
to
it
the
was,
network.
I thought it was Dixie that did it by mistake.
I don't know who it was, and frankly, it doesn't matter because they deserve to get bit for that.
And remember, there was the whole thing where Billy Pumpkins was going to buy them for a while, and then they completely sabotaged that, and then this happened, I think. I mean,
I don't remember where him buying it would being on their TV and stuff fell into it.
It was around the time where they kind of were getting a little bit of heat because they were doing they did the broken Hardy like stuff that was hilarious.
Oh, was it then?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was about when, because I think he might have had some stuff to do with like the filming of that. I mean, in hindsight, Billy Pumpkins wouldn't have been much better, but they might even be worse off now if he was in charge. But I will say, to defend Garrett Bischoff and his taking forever, he did get the shit beat out of him afterwards.
Yeah, he actually did.
That was also, and it was Russo booking this, because it was like very Russo in that Hogan started off a heel and then Bischoff turns on him.
No,
They all turn on him and he gets beat up. And it's like
Pretty
Hogan
sure
and Sting like fighting them off.
I'm pretty sure Super Genius Eric Bischoff is like booking at this time.
God. All right.
I don't.
It
I
was
don't know.
bad.
Yeah. Yeah. It is bad.
Like I said, for the limitations, I thought it was interesting that they got even something half decent out of this.
I'll agree with you that for the limitations they were working with, they did a good job. That does not, to me, make it a good match.
And I mean,
But, yeah.
I thought for it being TNA and stuff, I thought both Hogan and Sting worked way too hard for what it was.
Well, okay, yeah.
Because Hogan, like Sting,
Yeah,
Sting does do a lot of the work. Like I'm gonna say that up front. Sting does a lot of the work, but Hogan does give what he can. I'll give Hogan that.
Yeah, okay. I can get behind that.
It's not a lot, but Hogan isn't dogging it. He's giving what he has left in the tank, which is not much.
Which ain't hardly nothing.
Honestly, he probably shouldn't have worked this
Yeah.
match, truthfully.
Probably not, but
But so that's kind of Hulk Hogan. Like I think, I don't know. It's like I said. Like for me, I'm not like I don't have like an emotional attachment. I think I told them on the off chat. Like I think my biggest reaction to it is I'm kind of sad because it feels like an era of wrestling is like done. But like for him, like I said, like I'm not like one of those. I have complicated opinions on it. Like I don't like those people that are like going so overboard because they have to virtue single and be like, you can't say anything nice about Hulk Hogan, like the wrestler, and it's like, okay. And at the same time, like I don't necessarily care about him. He wasn't like a good person. He should have apologized.
Yeah.
I guess I still appreciate the character. I'm still kind of a fan of the character. I probably, of the three of us, maybe I'm the most a fan of the character. But I don't know how I feel about it in the sense, I guess I feel, in life, like you will live long enough. Hopefully you will live long enough to see like your heroes, people you care about disappoint you. So
They all do.
he particularly disappointed me, but
yeah.
I also, it's like, maybe I'm like Damien. Like, I've made my peace, unfortunately, with who you really are. So what was left is just the art, and I can still appreciate the art.
Yeah.
And like you said, Brad, like maybe I can appreciate the art of Hulk Hogan, the character of Hulk Hogan, more than I can Ric Flair. And I was trying to rationalize it, and like I said earlier, it's like I think maybe it's because the character of Hulk Hogan is like still the character of Hulk Hogan. The actual real person, Terry, was different. Whereas Ric Flair has been the real person of Ric Flair. Richard Flair has been the Ric Flair character for like the last, several decades. But I mean, in the last like 10 years, for sure, the actual person has been the persona. So, a lot of the stuff that is very negative about him, I feel like it does weigh upon me more than Hulk Hogan. It's like,
Hogan
Hulk Hogan, when he's telling me to train, say my prayers, eat my vitamin, he's not just speaking to me as a white man. He's not bringing racial bullshit that he actually believed in into it. Whereas Ric Flair, it's like, he's like 70 plus years old, a drunk, old man being lecherous when you have a history of being a sex pest, at least alleged.
Yeah.
And,
I think
the whole style and profiling thing doesn't really, it's not cute when you're like a grandpa who's a drunk and kind of gross and you won't go away.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
That's
like,
you just said the one thing I was gonna say is, I think part of the difference for me is Hogan has had the sense to go away for long periods of time. Like Hogan was not like Hogan was not in my face constantly for the last 10 years, like smacking me in the face like by saying something racist, whereas Flair is almost, you can't go 6 months without Ric Flair reminding you of why you don't like him anymore.
That's because Hogan wasn't immediately broke every time money hit his fingertips.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, yeah, that's true.
But I think he was smarter.
So-
I think he was, for as stupid as he was with the apology, I think he was also smart enough to realize, like, yeah, they don't miss me unless I go away.
Yeah. Yeah, probably not.
And it's not like I'll use someone, and I think for me, why it doesn't bother me as much as I've had much greater disappointments, because we talked about him. Do we talk about him on the air? It's not like his racism is like Anthony Camilla, where like every time you encounter him in anything, like he's just ranting about black people, and it's like, oh my god, can you talk about something else?
Yeah, for those who like remember Opie and Anthony, like I know Brad and I were fans. Like I was a fan of Anthony Cumia, but I think he's actually a talented guy in terms of like he's funny, can be funny. But yeah, anytime he's just ranting about like black people, and it's like, dude, like I can't anymore. It's just it's goes beyond just like let me give a cutesy like racially themed joke. It's like maybe that's off color. But it's like, okay, whatever.
He stopped.
It's just like now there's no like the mask is off. It's like
he stopped.
Really don't like black people.
He stopped trying to be funny about it. He stopped trying to be funny about it a long time ago. But like like him, who else has like really disappointed me? There's a lot of people that disappointed me. Michael Jordan has been a disappointment. Bill Cosby.
It's one of those things.
Bill Cosby.
Yeah, well, yeah. God.
Who?
Bill Cosby.
Bill Cosby.
Especially like for someone of my age, like Fat Albert at the Cosby Show and stuff, like that's the brutal one for me.
Yeah, I get it. It's in something that should not. This guy went from being like universally beloved to it's like, wow, you are a gigantic monster.
You mean he was America's dad when we were like kids. Like that's what I think his nickname was.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at is, and being funny and having good comedy albums and everything, and then it's just as it turns out. Yeah, as it turns out, funny story, true story.
Yep. So that's Hogan. I think we're gonna come back and do Wheel of Time Book 2.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Yep. And we're probably for a while now, we're gonna be ending the shows a little earlier and trying not to go so late. We might in the future, depending, I don't know, we might shift to slightly earlier airtime.
We might. And if that happens, we will tell you about it a lot before we do it.
Yeah, we'll try to give you like a solid month lead up. But that's potential. And it wouldn't be a huge difference. It'd probably be like 8:30 or 8:45 we would start.
Yeah, it might jump it a little bit.
Yeah, but we'll tell you, we'll give you like a lead up, and it might not happen. But so that is this sad what is your sad, what is it, your sad little man and you have my pity? Is that the Woody and Buzz Lightyear lines?
But yeah, it's Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah, so that would be my summation of Hulk Hogan. Not the pity part. I just
don't.
It'd be you have
care.
My indifference. But
yeah, there it is.
This has been Matt, Shad, and Brad. We've been in 3 corners. You've been in the 4th, and we will catch you next time.